Eskom is due to table a new offer for striking Numsa members today. Workers are demanding an increase of between 12 and 15%. We're now joined in the studio by Numsa's General Secretary, Irvin, and the Eskom spokesperson, Andrew Etzinger. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us, and good morning to you. Let's start first with you, Mr. Jim. Where are we at with the negotiations currently with all employers?
Well, then, thanks. I think we met with the employers last night. It was more of a bilateral discussion. I think we have been having these bilaterals. Last night, there has been some movement on their part. And because they are bilaterals, I can't be able to talk on that. And I can sensitize you, though, that our first take on it was that it's not a revised offer that places us into a position that we can arrest the strike. It's bad, though, that we think that employers, it is within their own reach to be able to give us an offer that can settle this particular strike. And we have given to them our reflection, which indicated to them that we think that what they've presented on the table is still seriously problematic. And they understood that. And we will go back to our structures to basically report. We think that it is important that employers need to appreciate that the sooner we arrest the strike, it is in the best interest, not just of the sector, but for the rest of the economy. Okay,
so you are having bilateral, so with each different employer, it's not like there's a collective employers, people you're talking to.
Well, you would appreciate that Numsa is the one that basically, after a protracted negotiations, and we were left with no option, we got a mandate from our members that we've been negotiating for 3 months. The agreement have lapsed, and we were left with no option but to use the strike as the last resort to put pressure on the employers to come with an offer that can settle this round of negotiation and to secure a new agreement. And therefore, it became important that they should be bilateral. I'm sure they would have bilaterals with other interested parties on the matter too.
Okay, just to make sure that we are getting it right in the media. Your demands are between 12 and 15% in terms of the basic pay increase?
Yes.
So that's what you're demanding currently. All right. I know that Eskom, Andrew, is just one of the employers in where you've got Numsa members, okay?
That's right.
And Numsa has got 220,000 members out on strike currently, but a small portion of that is Eskom. But when there's no electricity, it affects most of us.
Of course.
You know, in the country. From what you know, Eskom, are they putting a new offer on the table today?
We've been asked to come back with a revised offer within 48 hours of receiving a memorandum on Wednesday from Numsa members who marched to our head office. And of course that process will unfold today. But aside from that, we do, both Numsa and Eskom, have a way forward in terms of taking the matter to the CCMA to arrive at a fair settlement. So this has been referred by both parties. So I think there's certainly willingness on both sides to reach an agreement as soon as possible. And of course, our talks did deadlock, but there is a way forward again through the CCMA.
So should we expect some form of a tabled offer today from Eskom to Numsa?
I can't talk on behalf of management. That will be a matter to be discussed during the course of the morning, and then we'll see how the day unfolds. But certainly it's Eskom's intention to resolve the matter, both in terms of our direct employees as well as the sites, Medupi and Kusile, which fall under the CFSA collective bargaining that Irvin has discussed. So it's us on both fronts that we really need a speedy resolution. We can't have the uncertainty. We can't have threats of a blackout, a national blackout hanging over our heads. Let's get on with it. Let's reach an agreement and move the economy forward. I think we all agree on that.
Hopefully you'll reach an agreement. Mr. Jim, I've discussed with a number of analysts during the week your strike. Okay, one of the words that has been used to describe your union is mature and responsible. Okay, that the Numsa is very mature and responsible. We hope we'll get to a solution soon. But when we saw scenes like we saw in KwaZulu-Natal, is in one incident where there's violence and there's reports of intimidation, one gets concerned. What do you say to that if any of your members are out there causing violence or intimidating violence? What's your message to them, and how are you going to deal with that?
Well, I think there has been a number of reports that have filtered through yesterday. And we're extremely worried, having seen a letter written by CFSA calling to Ria Piecha to intervene. And I must say, we were really shaken by that, because our experience of communication of letters and the police being called left us with a massacre, and which made us to basically convene a meeting yesterday to communicate to the leadership of our own union that a strike is nothing else but it needs a strike committee that must coordinate the strike. And as a union, we do not support acts of violence, vandalism. It's against the culture and practice of our own organization. And we're calling on our members to be extremely vigilant, because you're not just damaging and stigmatizing negatively the union, but on the other hand, you're allowing all Johnny come late to basically hijack the strike. And in our view is that our members must be vigilant, they must protect their strike, because if you allow such activities to happen, it can basically undermine a very important strike, which is about putting pressure by withdrawing your labor. We don't need to go around and beat up people and cause all violence. And from where we stand as a union, we condemn any acts of violence. And as a union, we have taken measures to ensure that all our activities are basically peaceful, and our members must be involved in peaceful protest, in demonstration of their own demands.
Okay. Now, just a final word from you, Andrew, on Eskom. Can you reassure the public that if there's no agreement today, okay, let's say whatever the offer is put on the table, Numsa turns around and said it's still not there for us, like they've communicated to other employers last night, as Mr. Jim was saying, are you guaranteeing us or reassuring us that we won't have power cuts?
We have contingencies in place to avert a power blackout in the event that the situation deteriorates. But I would like to say, and I would like to thank Numsa as well, that up until now, there's been very orderly, very disciplined actions taken, and we're hoping that going forward we also are all acting in a responsible way. And once again, remembering that we have a CCMA process which we both agreed to. Let's take that process forward if necessary to arrive at a settlement as soon as possible.
Yeah. Mr. Jim, final word from you. If you had a choice, what would make you make the strike end? Is it 15% or 12%?
Well, I think as a union we've taken a very constructive view. We said to employers must come to the table. They want a 3-year agreement. We got a mandate for a 1-year agreement. We've taken a principled stance that we want a double digit. If they want 3 years, they must be ready to buy the 3 years. And meaning that they must give us something to report to our members. And look, the issue of double digit is an issue. The issue of labor brokers is an issue, because it is an academic debate in this industry, because workers are enjoying all the benefits, and therefore the issue we're fighting is just the abuse that our members continue to endure, and therefore we think that by agreement without government we should be able to do away with labor brokers. The issue about short time is an issue which is not a major demand, it's simply an issue where our members have been subjected to short time in this past 3 years, and we're simply saying let's open up. Employers must commit that workers will make a contribution of 5 cents and employers will make a contribution for 5 cents, and we set up a short-time fund. And when it happened, workers must be paid 36 hours. And I mean, there are clear, very concise demands that should be able to not be difficult for employers. And if the strike drags on, it will not be because of Numsa being in transition.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Numsa General Secretary Irvin Jim, and you also had Eskom Post spokesperson Andrew Etzinger.
Know more. eNCA.com